Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I am your host on today's episode. Today we have guest Laura Celly, CEO of Maximize You, joining us on the show today. We're going to learn all about her business, her journey to business ownership, best practices, and some challenges that she may have faced along the way to give you that real life look at what it's like to run and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this. Well, welcome, Laura. It's great to meet you. Thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having me, Kay.
Of course. Well, let's start off. I'd love to learn a little bit about you. Tell me about yourself.
I was born and raised in Texas. San Antonio is my hometown, and I have been a Texan for years, native Texan, I guess you could say. I've also started my career in the U.S. Navy. So I left Texas and traveled in the Navy with the Navy as a hospital corpsman, a medic. My goal was to save lives is when I joined. That was what I was trying to do. I worked in a hospital for a number of years. Then I specialized in environmental health and preventive medicine. There, I learned how to train hundreds and hundreds of sailors and civilians on how to not make anyone sick in the restaurant business or prevention of communicable diseases, things like that. So I was always doing training. And then when I received my honorable discharge, they were not trying to retain people in the military at the time I was in. It was at peacetime. So they offered me a package to, get out and go on to the civilian life. So I guess I left and moved back to Texas, and I started a small consulting firm called LGC Safety Training. I didn't know what I was going to do, honestly, when I got out of the military. It is a scary step for a lot of people when they've been serving their country and they've already had a a paycheck every single month, and you've been on a schedule, and then all of a sudden they're telling you we don't need you anymore, and it's time for you to move on. So it is scary. That's a scary part of it, but I had to really focus on what I can do when I am discharged. So what did I like to do in the military was this training, this speaking to groups about food safety and environmental health and preventing people from getting sick. So that's why I started my own consulting firm. From there, I worked also in the restaurant industry because of my specialty. I consulted with Subway franchisees and other franchisee groups to help them, one, maintain that they're following their franchise agreement, and also, again, cleanliness, everything, just to make sure that their business is making profit, following all the guidelines. So I worked as a consultant for a number of years. And then I met someone in Austin who introduced me to the online format. So I put my training course online, and that was part of my business. I sold my content to an online firm, Learn to Serve, and they took the content, put it online, and that was my first, I guess, business um, company that I created and moved forward from. And then I got married, had kids, and you know how that you take a little break there, sort of. I decided to move into the educational industry. And that's where that way I could be on the same schedule as my children. My husband has always been in sales, and so he travels a lot. I was traveling a lot in tech sales for a while, but both of us couldn't both be on the road. So I made a switch to the education industry. And it was then during COVID, when I was teaching during COVID, that I realized, oh my goodness, the education industry needs help. Parents were, it was a very difficult time for parents, behavioral students. I'm a certified Texas special education teacher. So I saw firsthand the difficult children, the behavioral situations, the districts and how they work with parents of children with difficulties. And it's very hard. It's a very difficult situation that the education industry is in. My husband was doing consulting during that time with like sales leadership consulting and coaching. And I told him, listen, people need help and we have to figure out how we can do this. And we worked together, and that's when he said, let's do this together. Let's create our business plan. And we sat down and we created Maximize You. And we have we're very happy at the response that we're getting from everyone, all our clients, and the positive impact that we're making on people's lives to help them maximize their potential through coaching, through wellness programs. We have a lot of different like learning styles. Some people may just learn by listening to podcasts. Some people will learn from taking a course in person or through meetings. So we offer a lot of different ways for people to learn, because being in the special education, I saw that people learn very differently. As long as you can motivate them, then they're going to pick it up. So
Hmm.
that's where we're at today.
Wow, I love your life journey, and thank you for your service, by the way, as well.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I wouldn't have, I mean, my life, I feel like we're put here on earth to serve others. So that to me was hand in hand with what I believed.
Wow, that is an incredible journey, especially seeing the needs
Mm,
across a multitude of industries, but
mhm.
you still had that same skill set that you brought to the table. So I'm really excited to dive in deeper onto
Sure.
Maximize You. Now, how long have y'all been in business?
Since I would say we started consulting COVID, I guess the official date would be 2023.
Wonderful. And it was you and your
My husband,
husband?
he's the co-founder, Celly. He and I have been working together we've been married 18 years. I think we're going to be 19. I'm trying to
Oh,
remember.
congratulations.
And we did meet at that startup I was telling you about, where I put my program online. So
Mhm.
we were working together then, and it kind of meshed well, and we've been our own business and our own life together. So we've been very successful. So we're just gonna keep it going. So yeah, Sal's my co-founder.
Oh, that's incredible. And now, with the company growing, do you have a team outside of you two, or what does your team structure look like?
Okay, we have some offshore marketing team and an offshore tech team as well, and we have a couple of sales representatives also. So we're very small right now, but besides my husband and I, we have two more additional sales, but we're moving fast. It seems like the growth is just, it's a boom. It's been this year we're really taking off, and we're hoping that we're going to grow in another, by next year, maybe have more sales staff and more uh, here in Austin.
Definitely. Well, it's incredible to hear about your growth and what you've
Mhm.
experienced. I want to kind of take it back a little bit.
Sure.
And, we love to share how you've overcome something. And
Mhm.
especially when it comes to within the last few years of having the business. What is something you maybe were challenged with that you overcame?
All right. One thing that I would say, when I worked as a consultant, right? That was my own business, and I also managed at the same time, like I said, working with franchise owners, working in restaurants. I was kind of like a staff on like a manager, right, for them as well. And I brought up a store, lots of growth. We brought in a lot of revenue. And one of the things that I started to see is people started to leave. They were quitting before we were doing so well. We were hitting goals, and I was thinking of my next assignment already. You know, this the slam dunk was in, and I was already looking beyond, and everyone was leaving. And I realized then I learned a very important lesson is that I needed to focus on that moment. And there were people, my employees, my team there were there for the long haul, and they were there because they enjoyed working with me. And
Mhm.
then in the end, here they are watching me talking about moving up and leaving. And they were just it, and then again, so then it dismantles the teamwork that you've just built up. So
Mhm.
I had to learn that keeping the eye on the prize is one thing, but making sure you're in the moment and with the team on the ground is critical, because it can just dismantle as fast as you built it. You know, as quick as it grows, it can just fall apart too. So just keeping that open mind to me is what I've learned about, especially when you're an owner and a business owner, CEO. People are watching you, your employees are watching you, and they're going to mimic everything because they admire you. They see you as a mentor, and they want to follow you. So it's important for you to be aware of everything that you're doing and saying around them, because it's like a sponge. They're a sponge. So that
Mhm.
was one thing I learned, was not just thinking about myself, always thinking about the team and how they would be if I was there or not.
That's very powerful. That was like a golden nugget of this conversation, I think, just being sharing about that experience. And as you're kind of now looking at the future of what you want to build, switching
Mhm.
gears again, how do you see and what kind of growth do you want to see in the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh, our goal, I mean, we want to see a large, I guess, like we were at 200. Next year we want to see us at 150. I mean, a increase of 150, and we just want to keep on growing. We just want to keep on developing our site, adding more coaches, adding more programs. So the sky is a limit now at this point. It's just, it's happening because people need this help and these and coaches and
Mm,
guidance. Right now we're in a VUCA environment where people are, we just don't know what's going to happen. It's
mm.
volatile, it's uncertain. So we have to kind of support each other while we go through this, and developing that network, that
Mm.
platform is important.
Very true. And I'd like to ask you to clarify when you said like 150 to 200, do you mean clients or revenue? What did you mean by?
Revenue. I'm sorry.
Oh,
1,000.
awesome.
We're still a little small, but clients. I mean, we have an international base of clients as well. We help clients from all around the world. So I'm very happy with our client number, but of course that can always grow too. But our revenue definitely is what I was referring to.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for clarifying. Now, looking at how you're gaining momentum, I like to
Mhm.
talk about some marketing strategies that you've
Mhm.
implemented and also maybe where you want to work on with your marketing. So we'll start
Mhm.
off, what in the marketing realm have you been doing that's been working for you?
Well, we have always used LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been our number one source of clients, and how to reach the right clients. So LinkedIn, using the LinkedIn platform has been very helpful. Also, just using my own network. You know, it's amazing when you're in your field of study, or I mean your area of work, the if you're constantly meeting people. And
Mhm.
that's the one thing I've learned, you know, from the old sales people of the past is, you know, remembering who you've met and your network and keeping in touch with them. And so that has been, you know, the old school grassroots kind of marketing that I've done and my husband too, being that he's been in sales and, he's worked for some large tech companies, but he still keeps his network of professionals on hand that he knows that are great and that know the market and understand what's going on. So to me, keeping in touch with all my franchisees from my previous work, my old military buddies that are, doing something even greater than what we were doing when we first met each other. So keeping that network strong is important when you're developing a business and just growing in life. Even if you're just, whatever you're doing, it's important to have your network. You can't do it alone.
That is so true. I love the phrase, your network is your net worth.
Yes.
I completely understand where you're coming from. And that, again, that's another golden nugget for our
Yeah.
audience, just like really tapping into your network and the power of what that has. Looking at where in your marketing do you, if you feel that you'd like to work more on?
Well, because we have the education vertical, that's my one of my areas, right? Because I saw what the education industry is like. I was there, and there is change that is required, but it needs to be the right change. And so one of the areas that, want to continue to market on is with the uh also a certified disc assessor, and there's a children, I don't know if you're familiar with the disc
Mhm.
assessment. Okay, it's a
Yes, I
very
love this.
basic, yeah, yeah, it's a very basic, but it helps you develop relationships, right? You understand this kind of person is a dominant or influencer, steadfast, conscientious. Once you learn their base personality, it's easier to work with. And I want to take that to schools. And so there's a children's disc assessment where they categorize them as birds, different birds, bird personalities. So it really helps kids understand each other, and the teachers understand the students from like the beginning of the school year, or maybe it's a new cohort that they're just getting together. I think that's important because it instills in them very young that, hey, this is everyone has their identity and their personality, but for you to recognize how they like to be treated is important. And the only way you can be successful is by working together, right? So teaching them that very young is, I have a little passion for. So that's one area that I'd really like to market a little bit more in the schools, as well as our project-based learning training that we have and coaches that we have. Project-based learning is a style of learning for students that is different than just having a textbook and memorizing facts and moving on to the next chapter. Project-based learning is taking an idea of a real life problem and using your standards, your educational standards, to accomplish and fix that problem. So then
Mhm.
the students remember the concepts when they fix the problem. And
Mhm.
that's what life is about, right? You learn from your mistakes and you learn from putting into action what you've learned, right? So it's more than just spitting out the facts. It's actually putting it into action, and then it helps them remember better. I've seen it. I've seen the outcome with students learning in a project-based learning environment versus a just the standard classroom environment with a textbook. Kids are learning differently today, and we should focus on that as well.
Definitely. Well, these are some really great points, and I want to dive in deeper to maybe the how you're going about diving into bringing more awareness and marketing to these areas. So, looking at, let's just take the one like bringing this to schools. How are you implementing achieving that goal in terms of marketing, uh, marketing like doing more with your marketing or setting up structures around that?
I have to tell you, Kay, it's just your network. who you know and what you've done, and because I'm passionate about education, and I'm passionate about changing our environment. I mean, changing, like, making it more positive and more growth and everyone being successful, right? So I'd seen that in the education industry, what an impact it makes when you find out what someone is good at and what they can achieve, but with motivation and with the right coaching.
Mhm.
I tell you, it's an amazing how things happen sometimes, right? How just the stars align, okay? I on an my husband and I had taken a trip to Boston, and we were returning back to Austin, and the Uber ride, we were talking, and the driver was telling me, some amazing information, and he introduced me to a uh, I guess, like an ambassador of Liberia. And from there, I went to Liberia to meet the Ministry of Education because I talked to them just like I'm talking to you about project-based learning. And so now they're interested in Maximize You, they're interested in the platform. They're trying to make a change in their country to help these people realize, help the people of Liberia maximize their potential, to have that coaching person next to them saying, you can do it, you can finish school, you can, set your goals, and we're going to help you reach them. And it's been an amazing for us to make that connection. But that's how it's been for us, is just by talking to others about what I do, what we do, what we believe, what we have. And it's a natural attraction. And so far, that's how we have been. Also, people knowing us, because of the successes that we've had in our businesses, it definitely attracts people to learn about what you're doing. So the marketing has been kind of easy, just us talking about what we love to do.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, this has been such a great conversation. I want to dive into it's called our rapid fire Q&A, where I ask you four questions and you answer very top of mind. Are
Okay.
you ready for some rapid fire?
Okay, let me take a drink. Let's go for it.
All right. Question number one is, what is a key to success for you?
The key to success for me is to believe in yourself and have confidence in yourself. If you can tell yourself, I can do this, you can do anything that you want. So definitely, having the key to success is having confidence in who you are and what you can do.
Definitely love that. Number two is, what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Be persistent. Be persistent in your ideas, be persistent in your goals. Just that determination is critical. If you're wishy-washy, it's not going to happen. You have to definitely be determined and persistent, lock on, and it can happen. It will happen.
Definitely. Number three is, what is a piece of content? It could be a book, a podcast, anything that you've taken in most recently.
Hmm. I read a lot, so that's a tough one for me. That most recently, I guess I've been really checking out the Oprah. Oprah's been sending a lot of good articles out from her platform. So, gosh, that's a tough one for me. I will just have to say that some of my older books that most inspired me, I guess, even just understanding how people are and how people work, have been like Malcolm Gladwell's Blink and his Tipping Point, and those having to do even it has a lot to do with business,
Mhm.
about knowing people, knowing how behaviors are um, uh, everyone has a behavior type, and if they're the way that it happens or the way that they are, if you know it, then you'll know it. You'll be able to work with them better. You'll be able to navigate the relationship better, whether it's in business or personal. So
Mhm.
to me, books that inspire you to learn about others, that's key.
Definitely. I agree. And our fourth question, final question is, if you had a magic wand and you could rapidly change one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Oh, wow. Okay. It's hard because being a AI and internet tech platform, I feel that I wish I could change the fact that I can touch you, like we're there. I know that here it seems so cold, right? I'm on a screen, you're on a screen, we're not together, but we truly do exist, right? And when you're doing coaching and when you're doing counseling, some people feel like, oh, that environment is not quite right, right? You're not in the same room with them, or you're not there, but with tech today, we can still help each other out, and we can still motivate, and we can still. So the one thing about our business, yes, if I could have a magic wand and make it feel as if we're still in the same room together and that we're in a community. We do live in Austin together. I've never run into you before in person, but it'd be great if we could. But right now it's the internet and the technology. That's the way we're going to have to bond and make friendships and motivate each other. So there has to be a change. So if I had that magic wand, I would go like, ding, everybody, we're here in this room together, but we're here, in this space, in this world together.
Definitely. Well, thank you for sharing that. Well, before we get to our final question today, Laura, how can people find you online and get connected with your business?
Sure. Our website is www.maximizeyou.life, the letter U dot life. Life, because that's what we're about. We have the coaching, we have podcasts, we have assessments that you can take to start off with. You'll receive an hour coaching with myself or with any of the coaches you choose from on our site. And they can reach me again at coach@maximizeyou.life. They can go to our website and reach us there as well.
Thank you so much, Laura, for sharing that. Now, for our final question today, what is most inspiring to you today?
You know, the family, the unit of family growing is inspiring to make sure my family is growing and other families grow as well. I think right now a lot of people are alone and they're struggling, right? They don't have that motivation of a parent or a sibling or someone to really push them. So my goal, or what inspires me, is to help people develop their family, their tribe, their network, right? So they can be successful. So that's what inspires me, is though you may not have parents or you may not have siblings, but you have a network of people that do support you at Maximize You. That is what inspires me, is that there are people out there that need that help. And I want to be the one to help them out.
Well, thank you so much. It has been so inspiring to hear from you today, Laura. It's been great to have you on the show today.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate. Thanks for having me.